Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. Yes, this is happening yet again. We can't show off the great Black Mechanic Alliance hat and me not have something hysterical on my head. As you can see down there in the corner, Marvin Ray is rocking the new one. You guys wanted black. We got black. It's coming. We're working on getting those as fast as we can.
They will be going out a week from Monday. I should have them in this next weekend, she said. And you guys designed it. You asked for it. You got it.
It says Mechanic Alliance on the back. Believe me, that script is absolutely tiny where it is. But, you know, it's there.
And then T-shirts are next.
Ooh, we're looking forward to those. The nice thing about the black ones, you can't get them all fingerprinty and stuff like the white ones. Believe me, I've got one I tried to keep clean. Couldn't.
Me too.
So anyways, on the show this evening, we've got Tuesday Night Live veteran over there next to David, Shane Smiley, and down below me, we've got Kory Rosema, the man who keeps his shop so clean you can work with the lights off.
True story.
So that's getting warm. I'm just going to take that off, put that there. It may make a cameo sometime later. And let's see here. Let's check the chat bleachers. Looks like One Arm Zach got the coveted first comment. All righty. So anyways, as you guys saw, we're titled Hiring Successful Employees because we're going to be talking about what, you know, great shops are looking for as far as, you know, employees and what it takes to be an employee who's actually looking at those things and being those things. So let's just kick it off to Kory for a minute. Kory, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you do and the amazing things that you're capable of.
Well, that's a pretty good introduction, I suppose. I'm Kory Rosema. I own Rosema's Car Care in Hudsonville, Michigan. I have been the owner there since Memorial Weekend of 2016. It was actually a family business that I bought from my dad. He started it in 1974. I worked there until I was early 20s. Then opted to have a father-son relationship as opposed to an employee or employer and boss type relationship. So went to go do some other things and came back around and bought it from him as he was getting ready to retire. Ran it basically all by myself for one full year. My wife did the books at home on the couch on the weekend or at night. And hired my first employee like almost 1 year to the day. And second and third one shortly thereafter. And just grew and grew and grew like crazy. We just got done with an addition. And it's the addition portion of it that's so clean you can work with the lights off. I think as a shop owner, I guess first of all, as a former tech who still works in the shop now, it's hard to kind of shut that off. So it's difficult for me sometimes still now even to not be a coworker with my employees. And that I think is why I did lose some pretty good techs over the first few years.
You wanted to be very hands-on.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but sometimes they look at me as a coworker and then there's an issue that arises, but then I'm the boss. And that goes both ways. You know, when I have an issue, then I'm no longer talking to a coworker. I'm talking to an employee. And it's a challenge. You know, I've been doing it a little bit over 6 years now as an owner. And I think I probably learn something every single day that I've done wrong so that I can hopefully prevent from doing that again.
Yeah. You know, like we like to say, there's no such thing as failure, only lessons learned.
Sure.
As long as you're learning things, that's what matters. That's what keeps us going.
Yep. You know what? I want to blow his horn for him because when I came across Kory on the Facebook, and you know, as we get people on there, and we kind of dig into some of them to see, excuse me, who they are and what they are and all that. I got to tell you what got me with this guy. What do you do every Wednesday with your employees, Kory?
we do a little Facebook Live event. Try to keep them 90 seconds to 3 minutes. And it is, we've done foot races. We've done water balloon. Like they can throw the water balloons at me. Snowballs. We've done snowballs. We use 4-jacks and use them as scooters, like what you see the little kids on, and we raced them around the island out in the parking lot. Tire throws. I mean, just, one of our customers dubbed them the Rosema's Car Care Olympics. So that's just kind of, and yeah, I don't remember, Shane, were you up there for one when you came?
I was up there. I just never could make it to one because I was looking at other
that's
like
right.
apartments.
You were house
and stuff.
shopping at that point in time. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we do pizza afterwards or whatever it is the guys choose. Normally it's pizza because it's quick and easy. And that has actually turned into kind of like a lunch and learn thing. So we'll do a video of something pertaining to what we're doing. And then we'll do that little event. And then we will eat some lunch and go back to work.
And that's what captivated me. I've I've been in the industry all my life, and I've always taunted that I can know enough about a shop within 15 minutes. And right away, here's a guy. These shops are out there. You guys that keep sitting on your haunches and complaining and bitching about they're not out there, let us help you find them. Let's go get them. They are out there. We are seeing them. This man's hired 2 guys off of the Facebook group. Right away, you could tell a guy that cares about his team. I didn't even know about the pay structure at that time, which they'll get into or whatever, but you could tell right away. And the shop clean. I mean, I can always tell by looking at some of the videos who takes care of their places or not. And this is the professionalism that should be there from the owner, and then the tech brings the other to it.
So Kane Dixon's asking, how many techs do you have? Do you have any service writers? How's the balance there?
So I guess I still do include myself as a tech because, there was a point about a year ago where I kind of lost one of my top guys, and it was a challenge to replace him. It was probably maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I started just looking for somebody to replace me so I could just go back to wrenching. And we had basically just like a secretary, kind of. I don't really want to label her as that, but I said, hey, what do you think about, trying to start writing tickets? And she picked it up really quick. So I enrolled her in the elite training out in San Diego. Pretty much like just before COVID hit. So she did that the first 6 months of COVID, and now she's my service writer. Also hired I don't really know what you want to call them, shop manager, shop foreman. I don't know. I'm not a big guy on titles. I just give people certain responsibilities and they do them. He just helps run the day to day. And then I have myself and Luke and Andrew and Shane when he starts here in a couple of weeks. So there'll be 4 techs, whatever you want to call them, a shop manager, a writer, and then I just actually hired a second soon-to-be writer. Probably she's going to take 6 to 9 months to get up to the point where she'll actually be on a pay structure that would be comparable to the writer that we have right now. So, yeah. And then that's what we have in the
you mentioned something. In the automotive business, you stated that you have no titles. You just give responsibilities.
Right.
And what that does, by doing what you've done, is you take the competition away right away amongst employees to gain a title, so to speak, to get that prestige. And so right there, that helps build. And I've been on both sides. So So I speak from experience, but doing what you do and the way you do it helps build a team and a team environment rather than a competitive organization.
Yeah. I mean, I worked flat rate for a really long time. And I mean, in dealerships, it's basically like factory line work. So probably flat rate would work. I don't know how much longer it will work, but I just am of the opinion, you know, while we are growing like crazy and we're not the same, you know, 2-guy operation that I started or took over, however, whatever you want to say. You know, I tell everybody that I hire, you know, whether you like it or not, like I consider you kind of an extension of my family. And I'm going to constantly ask questions, and you can always tell me it's not my business. That's completely within your guys' rights, but it's not going to make me not care. And, yeah, I mean, my wife comes in and, you know, she still does a lot of the office work, and on occasion on the summertime, especially, my kids will come and hang out for a little while, and, you know, it's still a family business.
Kory, I know some guys are going to say, yeah, but you know, he's second generation, took it over from his dad. I got a feeling it's a lot different now than it was first generation, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my dad still comes around a lot. Shane, I think you met him, didn't you?
I might have. I don't know for sure.
Old tall guy, walks around like he owns the place. It's, you know, it's not the same.
I gather that.
You know, I mean, I certainly don't want to insult anything that my dad did or anything that like the previous generations have done, because they helped us get where we are right now.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you know, I think that we have to get it and take it to like that next professional level, you know, and I don't know. I mean, the inside of my body and the inside of most of your guys' bodies is all the same, and the doctors get all kinds of love. But, you know, Fords and Chryslers and Mercedes and Audis, and they're all in my lot every single day. And I don't think like the grease monkey thing is really a stigma anymore. I think that's all like a generational thing. I think that the distrust that maybe a lot of the consumers had of us is really going away. And I think a lot of the general public is really respecting what we're doing as an industry, like as a whole. So we just try to make sure we have good technology for our techs to use. And I'm certainly not like open blank checkbook, but like if you need something, you know, let me know. We'll get it as quick as we can. And, you know, I think we have a lot of really good stuff at my spot. And I mean, a lot of the equipment is getting kind of pricey. So I do work with a couple other shops around so that we can diminish some of those costs.
Yeah, I've heard some of the new alignment racks can be way more expensive than anybody wants to buy.
Yeah. That's unfortunately not something you can really split between shops, but
no,
you know, but yeah, we got a nice Hunter alignment rack. Shane's seen it. It's
nice,
the latest and greatest. Mm-hmm.
So Travis Shore wants to know how the elite training was in San Diego, and was that something you do again?
So, well, the way Kelly did it, she never actually got to go to San Diego because COVID hit like a month after we signed her up for it. So it was all done via Zoom. And I still think that it was absolutely fantastic. It was well worth the investment that I had. And, I mean, it's more than paid for itself. I mean, we plan on sending my new hire there and sending Kelly actually to like they call it a refresher course or whatever. And a half now she's great. And shoot, I mean, I remember talking with her instructor after the first month, and she's like, I don't really know, because she doesn't have a technical background or anything like that. And she ended up graduating, like top of her class. So, it's still like, I think service writers don't have to have technical knowledge. They just have to be friendly and be able to gain the customer's trust.
Fair enough. So how does that impact, going back also in the comments, a lot of guys have service writer questions because, let's face it, there's the service writers, it's kind of considered the dark art of the shop in a sense. Let's see here. Kane Dixon, where did you go? Do you let the reins loose for a service advisor? I asked, like, let them sell whatever the kind of thing. He says, no, he's asking about pricing, labor, and parts margin. So how do they handle that? I mean, you've got shop labor, your parts margins. You encourage them to like upsell everything, or is it, work with them and sell exactly what they need to?
So we do digital inspections on every single car. It's just like the old paper ones, green, yellow, red, except it's digital. And anything that's not green, we take a picture of it, label what it is, what's wrong with it, and Kelly writes an estimate on it. It's up to us as the techs to sell the maintenance. We don't pre-sell maintenance or anything like that outside of oil changes. And then on the next visit, they'll go back through and say, hey, we recommended job A, B, and C. Do you want to do those this time? But I know that's a little bit different model than what a lot of other places do, like especially dealers. They pre-sell, 60,000 miles, you got to have all new fluids and filters. It's like, well, what if it needs brakes? Maybe some of that stuff can wait a minute.
But you know what? I agree with what you're doing there, Kory, of the training I've gone through and done and taught myself. It's so refreshing to the consumer, because right away it kind of takes that monkey off your back as an owner, service writer, or technician, because you're showing the customer, hey, look, it's good, it's good, it's good. They come back multiple times. Look, it's yellow, it's yellow, it's yellow. Look, hey, we're red, we need to do it. It's already, you're transitioning and you're educating that consumer. And for the studies I've seen and the things we've done, your pipeline becomes much more bigger and for a longer time doing it that way than going in, trying to slam dunk $4,000 worth of parts, half of which aren't needed, which gives us a bad name in the industry. The way you're doing it is the way it should be done. There's no question.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've told Shane this yet or not, but I tell all the people that work for me, the industry in whole really has had kind of a crappy reputation. And, I kind of think it's like my sole responsibility to fix it. So, I've had other people tell me, it's not only your responsibility. It's like, well, but if I do my part, and then I can hold you accountable, and I can hold this guy accountable, and I can hold this guy accountable. When I first started out, like I purposely made a point of not getting to know the other shop owners in the area. So when somebody came, it was like, oh, my car was over at shop B. What do you think about those guys? I can be like, I have no idea. I don't know them. I don't know anything about them. Now I've grown to know, a fair amount of them, and the ones that I choose not to know, it's because I choose not to know them.
That makes sense. Let's see here. Zach wanted to know, you mentioned you got the business from your father. Were you a technician before you took the business over, or were you doing something else?
Nope. I started working on cars when I was 16 years old. I worked for him. Well, shoot, I think I started working at a Quick Lube when I was 15. Then I went to work for him when I was 17. I worked for him until I was 20. I got to do the math here. 23-ish. And then I went to go to work at a Chevy dealer. And I went to go to work at another Chevy dealer. And then I went to go to work at an Acura store. And 3 years at a Chevy dealer, 1 year at a Chevy dealer, and then about 8 or 9 years at the Acura dealer. And everywhere I was always a tech. I was always flat rate. I was always very, very productive. I took my job pretty serious. I wanted to make sure I was good at it, Because I mean, at the end of the day, especially when you're flat rate, if you're not any good at it, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I think I probably took a pay cut from being a technician to a shop owner, you know, at least the first couple of years. And I do remember what it's like to not make decent money as a flat rate tech when you have crummy weeks. So that's why I choose just to pay everybody hourly. And I really try to find good ways to keep everybody motivated. And if there's issues, then I'll ask, you know, is there something going on? If there's something outside of work that's affecting your work, what can I do to help?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you don't want to talk about it, then that's just fine. But, you know, then you just can't bring it here.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it does get brought here, then I have to know about it. And I'm going to like kind of get on you a little bit about it. But, you know, we still have a bonus program to reward the guys that do really go above and beyond. You know, it's kind of flat rate. It's not a big bonus or anything like that. It's $1.50 an hour for each hour that you turn. And that's based on productivity and efficiency. So if you know, just like for ease of math, you know, if you turn 40 hours that week and you work 40 hours, you get 100% of your bonus. If you turn 80 hours that week and you work 40 hours, you get 200% of your bonus. So, you know, it's not a huge, like life-changing money deal, but, you know, I think it's enough to keep somebody working hard, you know, extra $200-300 or maybe more at the end of the month. Like that's a pretty good deal, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, performance bonus like that will make anybody happy. I don't know anyone in here that wouldn't be pleased to see something like that come their way.
Sure.
So,
well, Shane, what do you say? I mean, you're coming from a dealer. This man's been at a dealer's for many years as well. So,
I mean, me and him both kind of share those same struggles of seeing the same things from dealerships. We've probably both been jerked around a little bit, and we both have we've had good weeks, we've had bad weeks. Honestly, that particular pay structure and the way everything is set up, I mean, you can definitely spend maybe just a hair more time and focus a little bit more on the quality aspect that I feel like a lot of guys don't do under flat rate. Like I would say probably a good example of that is, you know, like this last Friday, we had like 7 AC jobs that came in. And the best part is when you have 7 of those AC jobs, you have 11 techs and 1 R134A machine, and you have to make it work. So it's one of those things where at that point, you know, it's funny that we all went through all this. We just took an AC class at Kory's place, and I remember the guy mentioning to like to vacuum for 60, hold for 30. And the guy next to me says, I only do it for 3 minutes. If it's going to do anything, then that's when it's going to do it. And then we're shooting it in. I don't care. This is flat rate. We don't have time for this. Whereas I would prefer to do things the right way the first time and not have to jack around with comebacks and have issues and have upset customers, or more importantly, have upset service writers and have upset managers asking me why I couldn't do it right the first time.
there, Marv, you happy? It's a joke, guys. He's pinging me on my phone, which is in my pocket on silent.
well, we had some guys that came up with join the movement of helping techs, and Dave texted it. Eric hadn't answered it, so I sent him 5-10 texts just to make sure he got it. You're welcome.
Here, I'll show you.
we do have fun here, and we do take care of each other. It got his attention.
Finally.
Finally.
Hey, but kind of on topic of what this is about, I would be interested in hearing, Kory, okay, you've evaluated Shane, you've decided to evaluate or to bring Shane on board. It'd be interesting to know what things you were looking for, what you saw in Shane. And then after that, I'd like Shane to discuss what he saw with you and with your shop to make him want to make that adjustment.
Well, the first thing that just made me want to talk to him was just the resume that he sent was really well written. It was just a good resume. And, I think probably as you get older, maybe certifications become less and less important as a person, as a tech, as a shop owner. They're still very relevant. And, he had everything on paper that I think any shop owner in the country would want. I was actually fairly fortunate enough where I hired a recruiter. So I actually was able to look at quite a few resumes that looked a lot like Shane's. And, some of them had, I don't know, kind of like diva complexes where I just like, nope. I kind of was one of those maybe back in the day. I don't need that at my shop. Prima donnas. That's what I was labeled sometimes.
Oh, there you go.
And, I wanted someone that could, take that book knowledge and put it where it matters, underneath the hood of a car, and be willing to help guys around them, be a leader when needed and be a follower when needed, and be willing to continue to learn, and, willingness to pretty much work on anything and everything, whether it's, and I don't necessarily even mean car makes, just some people are with the paper qualifications that he has, like, well, I don't do ball joints or I don't do tires. It's like, I get it. Nobody wants to do tires, but this is our business. We do tires. I had one guy tell me I don't do brakes. It's like, well, that doesn't really work, because regardless of how skilled you are, everybody has to do some of those jobs sometimes, just because that's how life works. But, I wanted whoever it was going to come and spend the day and meet and talk to everybody. So it wasn't only just my decision. Shane came and he spent an entire day at the shop. He talked to every single one of my guys for 2, 3, 4 hours. And then when he left, I talked to all of them as a group, and I talked to all of them individually. And, I asked the questions of, first of all, could you tolerate working next to him for 8 hours a day for the next 10 years? And, don't shake your head. No, that's not cool.
Look at your shades on. What I said, yeah, just kidding, Shane. We love you.
Are you willing to come to work? That's shocking how many people I've hired and been like, we work from 8 to 5:30 every single day, Wednesdays until 6. And a month into it, they're like, oh, I can only work 4 days a week from now on. That's just not what you signed up for, man. Yeah. So, we're all grown-ups. Let's act like grown-ups. And that's the biggest thing.
So Shane, on the, and I love how Kory brought that up. Tell us about your journey of your resume.
Well, if we discussed the journey, it kind of started way back in a dark and gloomy time at a rather small dealership in rural Indiana, and next thing you know, I messaged this guy down yonder here and say, hey, you guys give any advice or anything like that? And he was like, sure, we do that. And it was more of a, yeah, we can actually help out. We can set up a Zoom call and say, hey, we'll sit down and talk about it. And probably took us about a week or so before we finally got on a Zoom call. But it was me, Marvin, Dave, and I explained everything to him, that where I was at the current dealership, what skills I had, pretty much everything that I could possibly think of. And they flat out told me, he said, look, Shane, given the situation and where you're at right now in life, you are doing a lot better than probably most techs that are years into this, and you've done a lot of it pretty much on your own, out of necessity, because you want to learn, you want to succeed, you want to do a good job. You have passion for this industry, and we see it, and we want to help you.
And that's what I was looking for, and that was the plug I wanted to do in there, is because all those that are watching this or will watch this later, Shane had been to a place that had done a resume for him. It was 5 pages long. It was, and he would agree, it was okay, but it was, and that's what we do for you guys. I think we charged him $45 to do it, but Shane has proven in my mind's eye, and I know all the others in Mechanic Alliance, of the guys that complain and don't want to do anything. First off, you got to work on that resume. And second off, like it or not, Kory stated the same thing. Kory, when you saw some of those certifications, did that make you feel kind of good inside that he knew a little something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You always hear it, just because you can pass a test doesn't mean you can fix a car. But that's where him coming down and meeting with you and meeting with your team is where it comes together. You guys out there that listen to this are too hard on yourselves. I mean, you've really got to get off your butts and start doing something about it, because Shane has proven it. Kory has proven it. You can't complain anymore, to me, because it's available out there. You've got to grasp it and go for it. This young man, we had some words one day. And,
putting it nicely. I saw the text messages.
And Eric's going, dude, should you go there? I said, he's like a son to me. This is exactly what I would tell my son. And it was the same thing. We're passionate about this, guys. If you want to find that place, you got to sign up and get rolling. Otherwise, do whatever you're doing and shut up. Sorry. I just love the success that's happened. However, this and Kory had found another guy on the site too. And so many are complaining and so many are not doing anything about it. Just like owners that are complaining about, I can't find a good tech, but then you're not paying them. You're not inviting them down. You're not working with your team.
You're not giving them a reason to be
really screwing it up. There's a reason you have problems, and it's not that difficult. Here's a man that took a business over from his dad. And like he said, the first generation was a different time. He's taking it over, and we're seeing a new change now too. There's this third type of generation deal coming in that's going to change things as well. But you got to be able to pivot. You've got to be able to say, I want to do this. I'm going to be in it, and I'm going to make it happen.
And something I'm seeing industry-wide across the mechanic industry, machine shops, because I have my eyes on a whole bunch of different industries, but that's a story for another day. Being able to pivot and move with the times, just because something worked yesterday doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work tomorrow. So many things you got to work with and see and be willing to move with and bob and weave and do all those things that genuinely make a difference. Times are a changing.
So Shane, you're up. What drove you to make the decision to work with Kory?
Honestly, when I first got there, we had talked on or I guess really we should start with the part where we talked on the phone and we got kind of comfortable. I mean, I told him exactly who I was, like who I was and what I'm about and what I do. And he was honest in telling me what he's looking for out of a tech, or what he wanted out of this particular role, which I know the first thing he always told me was, I really don't do titles. And let me tell you that he and I have kind of, it's been weird because obviously I've worked in places that everybody, for whatever reason, has had a title. I worked in a giant manufacturing, multi-billion-dollar establishment that everybody had a title for something, So if anything, it was more abbreviations than it was anything else. But that's where everything started. He laid out expectations, what he was looking for, and invited me to come up to the shop and take a look at it, meet his people, meet him, and meet his family. And at first you don't really think too much about it, but when you finally get a chance to be in a smaller shop, but also an independent shop that's family owned, that's not a surprise to be able to meet the family. But I spent the day up there. Going up there was a whole different trip. I was like, well, I'm making a 4.5 hour trip to go to this suburb of Grand Rapids, sort of. And honestly, my first impression in there was I noticed everybody was happy. Everybody was happy to be there. Everybody was happy to do their part. And talking to the other thing is I remember Kory specifically said to them, now, if Shane does come around to talk to you guys, do not hesitate to tell him how you really feel about what you do. How do you feel about your job? What do you like? What do you don't like? What do you like about Kory? What do you not like about Kory? Like, be as honest as you can be with him. Be as upfront as you possibly can be. And on top of that, meeting with the service writer, Kelly, and the shop manager, John, both of those people are the awesomest. And I still thank Kelly to this day, because she's probably, she's the biggest reason that I got the apartment that I did, because she helped me out a ton. But the big things were they were willing to be honest with me. They looked happy to be there, and they didn't look like stressed out, like they were running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Everybody was just, they knew their part. They were just passionate. They were happy people. Like, that's really the only thing I can say, is that they looked happy.
That's awesome. And so what I hear, though, there's a key that I hear in both of your comments, and that is regarding expectations. The expectations from both sides were laid out, and honestly laid out.
Yes.
Because those expectations are laid out, now some boundaries can be put in place. And kudos to both of you for being up front, honest, and straight up with what your expectations and what your needs are. And everybody out there that's listening to this should look at that and say, yeah, okay, I need to be able to understand where the boundaries are in any place that I'm going to go to, or where I am now. And if you can live with those boundaries, then it's a fit. If you can't live with those boundaries, don't do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think transparency is just incredibly important. And not only have these three guys taught me that, Kory's taught me that, other people in the industry have taught me that transparency is extremely important, and being able to communicate your expectations and know what their expectations of you. And I'm pretty sure Kory's going to mirror pretty much the same thing that I'm saying. It's you have to be transparent, upfront, honest with everything.
Yeah, and I mean, just to add to that, like, I mean, I've messed up a ton as a shop owner, and I learned from it. But one of the things that I learned very recently, even, was to just assume that your employee knows what their role is. Like, write it down.
Oh yeah.
It has to be written down, and it has to be handed out, so everybody knows exactly what the expectations are, rather than being, well, I mean, that's your job, you know, or, well, you're the owner, you're supposed to know that, you know. I mean, I'm like I said, I've been an owner 6 years, and I think I've had job descriptions written down for 4 months, 5 months, maybe. And
there's a lot of truth to that, Kory, because I've seen that where an owner will have a new tech come in, and this was in the tire industry, and hey, just go ahead and bust that tire down, assuming he knows how to bust it down, assuming he knows where everything's at. And in his defense as an owner, we get complacent because we've done it for 30 years. We assume everybody else knows how.
yeah.
So you've nailed it there of bringing that to the forefront of everybody needs to know their expectation. And it doesn't have to be 20 pages long. It has to be something simple, to the point, and train. These guys that they'll have a guy start, and then they'll say, oh, he wasn't a good technician. Was he or wasn't he? Maybe you were a bad owner because you didn't explain, you didn't help him become a part of it. One thing that intrigues me with Kory, I'm going to be nice and I'm going to put him on the spot, is this guy, you run triathlons, don't you?
Yeah. Well,
so
I haven't pretty much since COVID hit. And because my kids have gotten older and their sports take priority over mine. Yeah. But yes, I have.
Here's a man, though, because Eric and Dave like to talk about psychology of things. Here's a man that does a sport that's a one individual sport, but yet runs a team in such a manner. And I believe that the character I see in this man is because he has to be regimented in his sport when he's doing it, so he sees that in his business. Now, the putting you on the spot, can you remember the 5th text you sent to me ever?
That's awfully specific.
No.
Marv.
I can't. Because we were chatting, and he says, I'm not sure I agree with you 100% on everything you guys are about.
Oh,
what do you think now, Kory? Are we still not 100%? What are we lacking?
I do like a lot of what you guys have. I wish you would drop the hashtag roll that box. I don't like that. But other than that, I think you guys really do a lot of good. But I don't like that particular point. But
and agree.
Everybody's got their thing.
Well, and it is, because if you don't throw it out there a little bit, yeah, actually, we haven't done a lot of hashtags lately because we found they don't seem to work anyway. But I really love this guy. I love who he stands for as an owner. I love Shane as a tech. And, here's an owner that put this is what I want to see. And flat rate, guys. I'm with Kory on this. I know everybody talks flat rate. Well, first off, if everybody would throw these damn things away while they're at work, their flat rate would be better so they can get things done. I've always been flat rate. I've always paid my guys flat rate. I like that extra bonus. I like that extra something to drive for. And that's okay. That's fine if you want hourly and whatever the industry brings. That's up to the industry. But me personal, a man here who has set up a program for his guys to be successful, and a tech who comes in from a dealership that is going to be successful, it's a win-win-win. That third win being the customer, because like Shane had talked about earlier, that hurrying up and trying to get through a car, it kind of bleeds off into the customer. They kind of feel like, well, he didn't care much for me, even though he wasn't part of that conversation. By taking the time and doing the things that Kory's doing, and taking care of his techs, you can't do it without any of them, can you, Kory? Because you'd be a one-man band, and you wouldn't be able to make the money you're making right now, would you?
I mean, yes, I guess would be the short answer to that.
One-man band. I mean, if you don't have your text, you're not going to make any money. You
Yeah.
can't answer the phone, run parts, and work on it yourself.
I did it for a whole year by myself, and it was not pleasant.
No,
my wife can attest to that.
And that's where a lot of guys are going if they don't take care of these guys. It's that simple.
I agree.
All right, guys, weigh in. I dropped a poll. Do we keep or toss that hashtag? Roll that box.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, we're going to let the group decide whether we keep or toss.
Kory, we like to have fun, as you know. And,
I know that. Yeah, I do remember, like, I think when you guys first started out, I think you got a lot of kickback from a lot of different people about like how maybe like how aggressive you guys were coming off. I think maybe some people maybe realized that you're a little bit right, and I also think that maybe you guys toned it down maybe a little bit. I'm way wrong on both sides of it, but
dang, I gotta fire it back.
that hashtag, I remember seeing that the very first time whenever you first started it, and I'm like, not every single shop owner needs that. Some shop owners just need to like have a talking to with their employees.
You're right, but here's the caveat, Kory, and you know it as well as I do. If you're taking care of your guys better than the next guy, they ain't going anywhere. Now, there's always a guy. I've had a shop that thinks the grass is greener on the other side and then finds out it's not. I've had no problem bringing that guy back because sometimes you have to learn for yourself. You have to have done, instead of wonder what if, do it to find out and come back. And so, the thing is you are an anomaly because I would say, Dave and Eric, what percentage do you think he fits into as of a good shop in the country that we talk and deal with every day?
Certainly, he sounds like one of the best.
I know, but what percentage? I mean, I think 80.
If we look at to our area alone that we know a lot of.
Oh yeah,
we've probably got 20 shops around here, and I can only think of 3.
Yeah,
that are worth 2 cents.
And see, that's the difference, Kory, is you have been in where you've been. Of course, you've seen it from the dealer side, but we have a really bunch of crappy owners, and that's why we're trying to get that out there, is that you need to shape up or go away. And that's fine because the little shops are becoming bigger, just like yours. I envision in the next 5 years, you'll either be building a building, adding on, and you'll have more techs because you're taking care of them. And those guys are looking for that kind of home.
Well, I can promise I won't be adding on. Sorry?
By the way, the guys have spoken. We're going to keep. Roll that box.
That's
just know it's no reflection on you.
That's okay.
Yeah, no.
I was just going to say there's no way I can add on anymore. I have I am completely landlocked. I've built my building as big as I can get on the lot that I have right now.
I was going to say, and yeah, there's a place building next door, literally, what is it, like next week or the week after? Yeah. So there's that. There's another building behind them. There's
nowhere to
doctors.
go.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's okay though. That's okay. We're going to be content for a few years anyway, I think.
Well, and I'll tell you too, and I'll let you know, Kory, you can decide what you want to. It's your own life. I tried 2 shops. It's not the answer. One good, strong shop. I don't care how big you take it, how small you keep it, but 2's not the answer. I did them 30 minutes apart from each other. It's a lot of headaches. You have to get up to, and that was back when you'd had to have about 6 or 7 to really make it work. I think if you do one good, strong place, you've got it going on, and you'll be good forever because the rates are going up, the pays are going up. I'm out doing the mobile gig. You should have a mobile guy on. That's another thing you could look at doing in your area. That brings business to your place. Consumers like it. There's other ways to grow your business and keep it all under the one roof.
VJ says cheap people don't want to pay, so how can you pay your techs more? That's why you build the value with everything you're offering.
What was the question? What did he say?
He says cheap people come but don't want to pay. How can you pay your techs more? You got to build the value.
That's a customer you fire. You don't want that customer.
I mean, realistically, so like where we live, you know, we have a pretty diverse customer base, just based on home values, from ones that aren't that great to ones that are amazing. And, you know, we get a lot of customers from both areas. And, you know, I don't really think that, you know, income level or any of that really has anything to do with it anymore. I think it's 100% based on trust, because, you know, we do run, you know, we don't do financing, but we have third-party financing that people can use if they need it, and doesn't get used a ton. But I think that cost is becoming really less and less of an issue, because people are aware, just as the industry is growing, you know, you pay for what you get, or you get what you pay for.
Pay for it. Yep.
And you're right, Kory. And that's the thing that I keep telling these guys, and I can't preach it enough. You know, it's, you want the customer, and people laugh when I say this. My customer, and Dave and I are still working on the mobile side down here, and got a couple guys out there, but we want the customer that doesn't even know what a parts store is or how to open the hood. Bottom line, we get calls every day. I got a 98 Bronco. Can you fix it? No, sir. We're busy. We're booked out for 3 weeks. Can't do it. Yeah, you're going to find a low for a little bit on some of the stuff that you don't want to do. You have to feel that customer out. We want to do the higher end jobs. We work with the people. They know that when we do something for them, if we have to run it to a shop, take it back, they get this valet service with it. You really have to sit down and get a hold of us and let us help you design how you get to that better customer base. If you're combating every time with a guy, we had one day, Dave and Eric will remember, the guy texts us in on our voice call, our Google call, and he says, hey, I need some rotors and pads put on my 2016 Toyota something or other. I said, sorry, we don't do that. He says, well, I never understood that. We have a restaurant called Bishop's here in town. I said, well, look at it this way. It's like you taking your eggs and bacon into Bishop's and asking them to cook it. And he put rolling on the floor, laughing my F off, or whatever it is. But he laughed because I think it hit the nerve on that. No, we don't do that. And we're not going to do that. And so you have to somewheres draw the line in the sand, understanding that you are going to lose a little bit of that customer base. But let me tell you, that's the customer the first time they see a better price somewhere else is gone anyway. They're not going to be your steady customer. They're not going to keep coming back to you. And they're the one that take 90% of your time. So you guys are going after the wrong customer. Sorry.
Yeah, I think a lot of that can all go away too with the digital inspections that we use.
There you go.
Our invoicing program is Shopware, and
what shop
I would dare bet that 50% of the work that we do is done with zero face-to-face with our customers. They drop the car off, they get an email or a text with all the work that their car needs. They pick and choose what they want. They approve it. We do the work. They pay for it all right through the same app, and they pick the car up at night.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what shop software are you using?
It's Shopware. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
What was that?
Kory,
You
you mentioned third-party financing. Guys, if you need help with that, we have a financing option for you to help with your customers that are in need of that. And also, Marv, on that Toyota you were talking about, what you didn't mention was he was supplying the parts for those.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's why we said no, because it was customer supplied parts.
Not happening. I mean, again, that's just when you step over the line and let that customer dictate to you how to run your business, in my opinion. And I've learned, because I started from nothing back when, and we didn't have the internet. We didn't have companies that taught us. We learned by blooding our nose out there and learning what works. And I did give things away for a first number of years too. You learn that you have to be professional, and this is what it costs. And if you don't like it, oh well, go put Bobby out of work down the road, because that's exactly what's going to happen. They're not the consumer you want. They're the ones that'll take you to court. They're the ones that will waste your time. you know, guys can throw all the crap they want at me, is that we have a disclaimer and all that. In a court of law, you still lose because the judge says you're the professional. And if you want to do it, that's fine. That's okay, because that's not what we do and the guys we hang out with do.
Yep. Absolutely. Guys, any more questions in the chat bleachers? We pretty well wrapped it up. By the way, earlier, Zach threw you the greatest compliment we could ever ask for. He says, you hired pretty much 2 of the youngest master techs in the country. Did you do that by design, or is that part of your business model?
I guess it's not really anything at all. It was 2 people that I really liked, that I knew would work well.
Fantastic.
And, I mean, I don't care. I mean, I was really young when I got my master's too. So, I mean, I look at it, it's like, man, if I could get a replica of myself, minus the attitude that I had when I was 21 to 29, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
So
it's funny how it kind of, you know, you can talk about the whatever out there. It's funny how that when you lay that down, like kind of people come to you on that same kind of thing. I mean, we've done this now for 2 years, and I would ask Dave and Eric, out of all the techs and shops we've talked to, which has probably been hundreds, I think we've had only a couple dorks. It's just amazing how it's the cream of the crop that comes to you because of what you present. And that my hat is off to you, Kory. And Shane, you're lucky I didn't have to come and kick your ass to go down there. Life is all good.
It's all good. It's all good.
You're 26 hours away.
that hasn't stopped anybody before.
No, you guys are awesome. I'm really proud of both of you for what you're doing in the industry and the changes you're making, because, you know, as we've said before, it's helping each other. And Kory's right. By him taking that step forward, by Shane taking that step forward, we are changing it one tech, one shop at a time. But what's coming down the road for the guys that do it is a lot of money, respect, and a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we should just about wrap this up here. So thanks, Kory. Thank you, Shane, for coming on with us. And thanks for shedding some light as to, you know, what good shops are looking for and what good shops need to hire. Shane,
thanks, guys.
You're not
Appreciate
usually
it.
on my side. Otherwise, I'd be like him. It's like through Dave. I got to go over Dave. And
Sorry for lying to you, Kory. A little bit more than 45.
We went a little long. I apologize.
That's okay.
Anyways, it's also getting dark there. We can't see you that well anymore.
Oh, I'm in my kitchen. My kids keep walking by, so I'm just gonna keep the lights off.
Oh, you're fine.
Anyways,
well, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Kory.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Remember, if you have any questions, by all means, join us in the Mechanic Alliance group. You know, join the movement that we're helping get techs get the money that you deserve and live your best life at mechanicalliance.com. There are training resources coming. Believe me, I just got the website started up earlier today. There's more coming. Stay tuned.
Cool stuff.